Life is like a tennis ball. The harder you fall, the higher you can rise if you have resilience. Now, I know I may be young, but I've already had moments where I've hit the ground and learned to rise. Hello, everyone. My name is Tanvi, and today I'm here to talk to you all about resilience. Now, I know some of you may be wondering, how can someone my age talk to you all about resilience? Well, despite my age, I've already had a lot of experience with the subject. According to the article, How Greater Challenges Help You Grow, people who face challenges early in life often grow stronger in the long run. And I believe it because I've lived it. According to the American Psychological Association, resilience is the process and outcome of successfully adapting to difficult or challenging life experiences, especially through mental, emotional, and behavioral flexibility to external and internal demands. I have two experiences that I'd like to share with you all today, but before I begin, I would like to ask you all a question. How many people here like maths? Well, I like maths, and I know it might seem like an arbitrary question to ask in a speech about resilience, but believe it or not, math was actually my first experience with resilience. You see, when I was in 5th grade, there were 4 math sections that I could have been in for the entire year. However, in the beginning of the year, I had to take some exams to see where I would be placed. I was good at math and was hoping to be in the top spot as I had been for the past 2 years. However, I made some silly errors in my exams and I was placed in the second highest spot instead of the highest. I was disappointed in myself because I knew that I could do better. But I decided to not let that stop me, and I decided to try to improve instead. And I did end up improving. So, when I was in 6th grade, I asked my teacher if I could try to skip into the highest level. She was a bit unsure at first, but after my final exam, she sent my mom a copy of the textbook and a study guide for the class that I wanted to skip. I spent the entire summer studying, and at the end of the summer, I took the final exam for the class that I wanted to skip, and I passed. And now, even though my new class was harder, I remind myself to keep going, and I remind myself of all the hard work that I have put in. And that's resilience. My next experience is about friendship. And again, before I get into my experience, I'd like to ask you all another question. How many people here think that if you are in a friendship with someone, you should have something in common with the other person? Well, even if you don't think so, I believe that it's a very important thing. And I hope that my next story might help to explain why. You see, in the beginning of 6th grade, I had a lot of friends. However, most of my friends were interested in different things than I was. For example, most of my friends were interested in following the latest trends rather than reading a good book. And they were all very obsessed with this one specific singer, and some of them had even gone to see her tour multiple times in person and on TV. And do you know how much those tickets cost? Well, me on the other hand, I did not really follow the latest trends because I didn't really know what they were, and I wasn't very interested with the singer, so naturally, I'd never seen her tour. For the first few months of school, I tried to act like I knew what they were talking about because, who doesn't like having a bunch of friends? However, as the year went on, it became harder and harder to keep up with what they were talking about, so I stopped trying as much. And I guess my friends must have noticed because they started to exclude me more and more. One day, I arrived late to lunch and I sat down at my usual table where all my friends were sitting, and I went to go grab my food. And When I came back from getting my food, I had noticed that my stuff was exactly where I had set it down, but all of my friends had moved over to the other table and had not left a single seat open for me. I was sitting alone with my thoughts for a few minutes, thinking, how could this have happened? Did I say something? Did someone say something about me? Did I do something? I was trying to do damage control in my head. And after those few minutes, a girl from the grade above me noticed, and she came to ask if I wanted to sit with her and her friends. I was a bit hesitant, but after I decided to take her up on the offer. And when we got at the table, I noticed that I had known some of her friends from elementary school. And today, over a year later, I am in a group chat with these people, and I try to sit with them whenever I can because they have become some of my best friends. Now, I know some of you may be wondering, how can someone think that friendship and math have something in common? Well, in both scenarios, I had a choice to give up or to keep going, and I chose to keep going. I also didn't let my past experiences affect my current decisions. For example, if I had decided that I was content with my math placement and didn't think that I should try to move up, I wouldn't have learned some new things and I wouldn't have been challenged. But along with that, because I've moved up, I am now on a better track for the SATs, which will help me get into a better university later in life. And if I had decided to not take the girl up on the offer, then I would probably be sitting alone at lunch because I wouldn't have met some amazing people who I actually have one or two things in common with. And I guess the key takeaways are you should never forget to stick with yourself and stick up for your ideas and what you believe in, because one way or another, it will all find a way to work itself out eventually. And even if you all forget my speech tomorrow, that's okay. Just make sure to remember this. Thank you.